My topic of the talk is role of electric vehicles for rural and urban development. Uh, these electric vehicles are not the thing; those are developed in these days. But okay, so these are not the things which are developed for in today's scenario, but there are a history behind these electric vehicles. Uh, Electric vehicles go back to late 18th and we can say early 19th century. The invention of lead acid battery, which are used in the electric vehicles, uh, is the use of these batteries are done by Gaston Plate in 1859, and an English inventor, the name is Thomas Parker. Name is Thomas Parker in 1884 invented the first electric car in London. So we can say that this is the electric cars are developing since 1859, and then the development is going on in 1884. And one of the uh, rechargeable battery is used in DC drive motor, using the DC drive motor, and having 36. It is using the 36-volt non-rechargeable battery. And we can see here in this picture a buggy, and this is called the moon buggy. It is using this non-rechargeable battery. This is the first electric vehicle that we can say in the actual sense. This glory was short-lived because of the high cost. We can think high cost due to the high cost of the batteries, low top speed, and short range of batteries. So the matter of the cost and its size is going since 1859 as well. In 1960, people like Henry Kilowatt started the mass production and of the electric vehicles, but it ended soon. Why? Because of the initial high cost to design and to design and make the place to store those batteries. After the after this, the manufacturers gave electric vehicles another chance. Okay, they thought that we can reduce the price by changing the storing system or something else. So in 1899, they produced a first hybrid car, and after that, a plug-in name that is used in plug-in electric vehicles. So this plug-in was coined by Andrew Frank, and the Andrew Frank is nothing but we called it as the father of modern plug-in hybrid vehicles. So in year 2002, very far from these days. So in the year 2002, Renault came with the plug-in hybrid model first, and after year the 2002, other companies also come for this plug-in hybrid vehicle like Toyota and Ford, Volvo, etc. So I'm starting from the basic classification of electric vehicles, because my main concern is on electric vehicles and their integration with the microgrid and utilization for electrical and for urban and rural areas. So if we are going to classify the electric vehicles, so these vehicles can be categorized as battery energy vehicles, battery electric vehicles, or hybrid electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicles. Battery electric vehicles use a battery to store the electric energy that powers the motor. On the other hand, hybrid electric vehicles are primarily powered by an internal combustion engine that runs on fuel and an electric motor that uses energy stored in a battery. These vehicles do not get plugged into an electric power source for charging, like in plug-in electric vehicles. The difference between the hybrid electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles are that hybrid electric vehicles cannot be plugged into electric power source for charging, and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, they can be plugged into an electrical power source to charge the battery. Okay. We are the electrical engineers, and uh, the construction of plug-in hybrid vehicle consists of many components which are directly related to the electrical engineers. And a typical plug-in hybrid vehicle, we see its structure. And if we see in electrical engineering perspective, then there are many components like battery. Battery is the main component, or we can say the heart of the electrical vehicle. Battery, it provides the electricity to start the car before the traction battery is engaged and powers vehicle accessories. Next main component is the DC to DC converter. We can see in this image, this DC to DC converter. It is a device that converts higher voltage DC power from the traction battery pack to the lower voltage DC power that is needed to run the electric vehicle accessories and recharge the auxiliary battery also. Electric generator is another main component, and it generates electricity from the rotating wheels while transferring that energy back to the traction battery pack. Some vehicles use motor generators that perform both the drive and regeneration function. And electric traction motor, what's the function of this electric traction motor? This is using power from the traction battery pack. This motor drives the vehicle's wheel. Some vehicles use motor generators that perform both the drive and regeneration function. So we can see these are some components which are directly related. These are directly related to electrical engineering perspectives. One important part is internal combustion engine, or we can say it is we can say that this combustion chamber uh, where it is combined with air, and the air fuel mixture is ignited by the spark from the spark plug, and transmission line is there, and the transmission part, what it doing, the transmission transfers mechanical power from the engine uh, or the traction motor to drive the wheels. The overall controlling of these electric vehicles and the transmission system, generative system is controlled by the power electronic controllers. So there are power electronic controllers as well. This unit manages the flow of electrical energy delivered by the traction battery, controlling the speed of electric traction motor and the torque that it produces. Now, why you should use plug-in hybrids? Plug-in electric vehicles can help increase energy security, improve fuel economy, lower fuel cost, and reduce emission. If we talk in terms of the cost, how it reduces the cost? Actually, the plug-in electric vehicles require much less maintenance in comparison to the gas compared cars, and we can say the estimate is around half of the cost that is included in the gas powered cars. Also, the government has made sure that loans are easily approved. There are many projects are going on electrical vehicles, and as well as the taxes are very low in case of electric vehicles. Another important thing that is related to the plug-in hybrid vehicles is the environment issue. And we can say these are the EVs are environment friendly as well as fuel friendly, and there are very less emissions in the electric vehicles. Also, the life cycle emissions of plug-in hybrid vehicle depend on where the electricity used to charge it come from, and considering the fact that uh, we can say that how much the energy required to charge the electric vehicles, just equal to the other appliances, other home appliances. So this is the this is a analysis in which there is uh, greenhouse gas emission comparison between the other tailpipe gases and tailpipe electric vehicles as well as in electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicles. And there are different, we can see on the x-axis that there are different companies electric vehicles, and we can see how much the greenhouse emission uh, can occur by driving these vehicles. Now, what is the heart of these electric vehicles? Batteries, of course. So the most of the work is going on the batteries. If the solution of the size and the emissions from battery uh, is controlled, then it is very easy to drive the electric vehicles in a cost-effective manner as well as in environmental friendly manner. Energy storage systems, usually batteries, and these are essential for hybrid electric vehicles, or we can say plug-in electric vehicle. Any electric vehicle requires a battery, and most plug-in hybrid vehicles use the LI, lithium-ion batteries. There are some components, some parameters based on which we can say that plug-in hybrid electric vehicles use the lithium-ion batteries. I will discuss those parameters as well. And these batteries which are using in the electric vehicles are lithium-ion battery, nickel metal hybrid batteries, lead acid batteries, and ultra capacitors. So if we talk about the lithium ion battery, these batteries are currently used in most portable consumer electronics because of their high energy per unit mass relative. High energy per unit mass relative reduces their size. Okay, so that's why we are using these in our electric vehicles. They also have a high power to weight ratio. High power to weight ratio, again reducing their size, and high energy efficiency, good high temperature performance, and low self discharge. Next type of batteries are nickel metal hybrid batteries. These offers reasonable specific energy and specific power capabilities. And what is the quality of these batteries? These batteries having a much longer life cycle. So these can be used in hybrid vehicles as well, but their cost may be high. The main challenges with these batteries are their high cost, we can say, and high self-discharge and heat generation at high temperatures. Uh, also, also these batteries need the control of hydrogen losses. Next type of batteries are lead acid batteries. These lead acid batteries can be designed to be high power and are inexpensive, safe, and reliable. They have a low specific energy, poor cold temperature performance, and short calendar and life cycle impede their use. We can use lead acid batteries as well. So the next storing component in electric vehicles that can be used are the ultra capacitors. And these ultra capacitors store energy in a polarized liquid between an electrode and an electrolyte. These ultracapacitors can provide vehicles an additional power during acceleration and hill climbing and help to recover braking energy. So, there are some calculations based on which we can find out that which battery we can put in the electric vehicles. So I'm saying that lithium ion we can use. So how I can say these things? We need to find out the volume of the battery storing capacity in ratio of their mass. So for that purpose, we need to go into the calculation, some calculation. Suppose we need to find out the volume of each cell. Each cell means we are uh, there are an arrangement of the cells to make a battery pack in the electric vehicles. So if you need to find out the volume of each cell, that is calculated uh, it can be calculated using the battery cell diameter and battery cell length. And the energy, the battery cell energy can be the multiplication of battery cell capacity, whatever the capacity of a single cell, and the battery cell voltage. The battery cell energy density is calculated in watt hour per meter cube, and it is equal to the ratio of the energy density divided by the volume per piece, means per cell. Next important parameter is gravimetric energy density. It can be calculated using the battery cell mass, and it is the ratio of the energy density divided by the battery cell mass. Actually, the arrangement of these cells, we are going to consider that the battery pack is made up of only from several strings. Those are connected in parallel. So the number of battery cells connected in series, this NCS, the number of battery cells connected in series, how we can calculate it? In a string is calculated by dividing the nominal battery pack voltage, that is UPP, to the voltage of each battery cell UPC that is involved, and the number of strings must be an integer. Therefore, the result of calculation is rounded to the higher integer. Next component is the energy content of a string. It is equal with the product between the number of battery cell connected in series uh, and the energy of a battery cell. Okay, so the number of strings of battery pack. So we have find out the cell volume, cell energy content of a string. Then we are going to find out the total number of strings of the battery pack, and it is calculated by dividing the battery pack total energy to the energy content of a string. The number of strings must be an integer. Therefore, the result of calculation is rounded to the higher integer again. And the size and mass of high voltage battery are very important parameter to consider when designing a battery for electric vehicles, because size is the main concern when we are talking about the electric vehicles and we are talking about their battery uh, space. So the battery pack mass, if we are talking in terms of cells only, so the battery pack mass is the product between the total number of cells and the mass of each battery cell, that is MBP is equal to NCB MBC. Next parameter is the volume of battery pack. Again, we are talking about one cell only, cells only. and it is the product between the total number of cells and the mass of each battery cell. This volume is only used to estimate the final volume of the battery pack. Why? Because it doesn't take into account the auxiliary component or systems in the battery. The volume can also be calculated a function of number of strings and number of cells in a string. And we can see this calculation method is more appropriate for cylindrical cells. What are the type of the cells? Cylindrical cell or chip cells? Since the volume occupied by a cylindrical cell must take into account the air gap between cells. The string peak current is the product between the peak C rate is considered here, of the battery cell and the battery cell capacity. So both C rate and battery cell capacity have been included while we are going to find out the string current. Next, we need to find out the battery pack. Now we are moving towards the complete battery pack. So if we are going to find out the battery pack peak current, it is the product between the string peak current and the number of strings of the battery pack. Then the battery pack continuous power is the product between battery pack continuous current and the battery pack voltage. So this is how we have calculated the battery pack. How many cells are connected there? Then so what are the steps included in this? We have find out the cell volume, cell mass, cell energy. Then we are moving to the string, one string. Then how many rows or columns are there? According to that, we have to find out the battery pack current and battery pack power. Now, because we are talking about the heart of the electric vehicle, so we need to go into the comparison of lead or lithium ion, because we have seen that lead battery is also very cheap. So what we have to use in the electrical vehicles? So these their comparison can be given by their charging and discharging characteristics. So if we talk about the lead acid batteries, uh, uh, these batteries charge well in a long string. Long string is there are number of cells are connected in series over voltage in a cell. And that is not good. Okay. So, and lithium batteries, okay in a string, but over voltages on an individual cell can do serious cell damage. So both having their own advantages and disadvantages, and but there is a solution we have for allied batteries. Yes, we can, if individual cell charging, we can do the individual cell charging, then a problem can be short out. Or we can do the balancing cells or charge in a string. If you go to the discharging characteristics of these two batteries, so the lead can tolerate discharging to 0%. Okay, their state of charge is 0% with some cycles of damage, while lithium ion batteries will have some serious damage if we will go to a particular SOC, means beyond below the 2 volt. So the battery can be ruined completely. These are their curves. Lead acid discharge curve. You can see here it can go up to the 0. While in lithium discharge curve, there is a sharp shoulder. Here we can see around after 150, we have a sharp shoulder on the discharging side. So now we are moving to the EV electrical vehicles, fast charging technologies, and their placement of fast charging stations. Uh, During the past 2 decades, there is lots of research and we can say technologies have been developed for new electric vehicle technologies. And why these technologies are developing? the researchers are considering the environmental and ecological balance benefits. So, due to these researches, these considerations, EVs fast charging is definitely an important aspect of supply system to the EVs in case of urgent need. Okay. Uh, why I'm saying the urgent need? Because if there is no urgent need, then an electrical vehicle can be charged on the home supply as well. But there is need of fast charging. Suppose a person is moving in the highway, then what he don't want to wait for an hour. He just want to plug and go. Okay, in present global scenario, expansion in fuel emergency and natural ecological nervousness, government and automobile producers have announced well thought organized vehicles with a lower carbon impression. So there is need to reconsider refueling like standard gas stations means what that station should provide the fast charging so that the uh, driver can plug the vehicle and charge the vehicle and go from that side. So two workable arrangements come into view. One is expanding the battery capacity, whether we need to expand the battery capacity so that the vehicle is go up to miles, and or we need to increment the quick fast charging foundations around the globe, which are very less in the India. But we need to increase the fast charging stations stoppages. So there should be no need to extend the battery capacity or no need to make the electric vehicle bulky. So if we are going to expand the battery capacity, this will lead to increase the electric vehicle cost, its size and its weight. That is not looking good. Uh, but on the second arrangement, if we are installing the number of fast charging foundations, that means it is empowering the user's ability to uh, uh, afford the electric vehicles in their pocket. If we talk about the charging stations or the level of charging, these can be categorized into three levels according to the US Energy Divisions. And the first level is standard charging, which has charging power below 5 kilowatt. We just these are the categorization. These levels are the categorization based on their charging power. So if we are going into the charging power below 5 kilowatt, this is the level 1. And if fast charging, second level is after 5 kilowatt, the charging is going into the level 2, or we are saying the fast charging. Level 3 consists of ultra fast charging, which is more prominent and consistent, and it also consists of off-board charger. Okay, the Tesla is using this level 3 charging. The high power charging, level 3, makes it inappropriate to transport essential electronic power on board, which results of the measuring parameter. Level 3 charging typically transmits the vehicle's capacity as DC. While level 1 and 2, we have seen level 1 and 2. These level 1 and 2 contains the electronic for AC energy transfer on board. So obviously, the requirement for fast charging exists for the comfort of the buyer to the daily usual driven. We can say the 31 miles per day. As far as possible, motorists likewise developing the to move rate to closer qualities towards petrol, diesel filling up stations. Also, the torque creation occurs during charging, and that result into engine turn. So the extra related issues are developed. These are noises and mechanical pulsation. Off-port chargers situated exterior to vehicles takes convey the DC capacity to the EV battery over a power molding unit. We can see here in this picture there is a power control unit, charge controller. In this is a conventional DC off-board charger configuration. Here we have a protection circuit also, and controllers also. These controllers having some these power electronic devices, and the main supply is from the AC that is converted into DC. Now, type of EV charging and their equipments. We are talking about the EV charging and equipments. We have foundation of the charging stations. We have charging stations, but an important thing in the charging stations or to charge the electric vehicles are the connectors. So we can divide these connectors into AC charging connectors and DC charging connectors. Charging equipment for plug-in electric vehicles is classified by the rate at which the batteries are charged. As we have studied that AC level 1, AC level 2 or the DC fast charging. If we talk about the AC charging connectors, these are of three types: type 1 AC connector, type 2, and US connector. I will discuss all of them one by one. And DC charging connectors are CHAdeMO, CCS Combo 1 and Combo 2, and DC connector that is developed by the Tesla. That is used by the Tesla. Okay. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the AC charging connectors. Type 1 AC charging connectors. AC charging connector, different regions or countries have various electrical vehicles producers, have their different power levels of the chargers. The charger connectors have different design, dimension of pin in or out. So we can say electrical vehicles industry not come to a conclusion or agreement of using common AC charger connectors. So we can say that there should be universal AC connector. And this type of problem has occurred because of different territory have their own AC voltage level. The voltage level that we are using in India is not same as we are using in US. So these kind of problems are there. And also the different operating frequency is also a challenge. So the shape of AC connectors has, if we are talking in general, the shape of AC connectors has two pins and some large pins for communication. And let's discuss type 1 AC connector. What is this? Type 1 plug is single phase utilized uh, precisely for AC charging and has a circumference layout comprising 5 pins, and that consists of AC lines, two AC lines, two single lines, and one earth protective fold. Earth protective path. And it takes account energizing power levels of around 7.5 kilowatt, or we can say 120 volt or 330 volt, with current capacities going up to 80 ampere. The standard is for the most part utilized in vehicle models for the Asian area and in uncommon in Europe, which is the reason that there are not many open short charging stations. These type 1 type. Then type 2, this is a type 2 AC connector. Type 2 AC connector is fit for dealing with both AC, just as DC charging. Additionally, it is of AC agreeable, and its peak rating voltage is up to 230 volt with peak current up to 80 ampere. And it's having a 7-pin plug, 2 are small and 5 are large. Top line comprises of 2 small contacts for signal. The center have 3 pins, middle one is utilized for earthing. Its typical rating are 3.7 kilowatt, 7 kilowatt, or 22 kilowatt for three-phase. Next, AC charging connector. This is not completely the AC charging connector. You can say US connector by Tesla. This plug aims to be used in America by Tesla, first of all, and it is fit to take care of single stage AC as well as the DC power. That's why I'm saying that we can't say it is completely AC connector. And the most extreme charging power is accessed at 17.2 kilowatt at maximum 240 volt AC. Now, if we moving to the DC charging connectors, these are, we can say, quick chargers. The rating of DC charger are between because we are saying these are the fast chargers. So what is the fast charger limit? Beyond the 50 kilowatt. So we are saying that the rating of DC chargers are between 50 kilowatt to 500 kilowatt, depending upon the producer. What are the manufacturers? Along higher potential, the power fluctuations and check tasks turn out extra massive as well as costly. So it is major factor why DC charges are executed off board. Okay, because these are very, we can say the cost is main matter in the DC chargers, fast chargers. Another sense that of safety concern, that we are using the on-board chargers, and there is always the issue of passenger safety, because with peak power handling and bulky size of power converters, these type of chargers connectors are using. The first one is the CHAdeMO. CHAdeMO, CHA, for charge, day, move, means charge and move. It's a fast charger, first device, first it is device, and its name is CHAdeMO, means charge to move, just charge and move. So CHAdeMO is a DC charging set of rules. Right now, it is empowering EV and uh, intensity from 6 kilowatt to 400 kilowatt with high, we can say the 900 kilowatt in readiness. And we can say these CHAdeMO connectors are distinguishable over the globe and is an independent attachment that can be with or without an AC connector. These connectors spares cost for EV producers and empowers cross-mainland EV ventures. And these connectors is smart grid prepared through its bidirectional charging ability. It is additionally perfect with any neighborhood or neighborhood fast charging, and its main technology is V2X, vehicle to X, or we can say vehicle to grid, vehicle to vehicle, anything. X may be anything. Vehicle to X, vehicle to grid, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to foundation. So if you are talking in terms of vehicle, we are using in the grid, microgrid, then these type of connectors are mainly used. Second type of DC charging connector is CCS combo 1 and combo 2. The charging port is an enrolled are firstly used by Audi, BMW, and the combined charging system depends on open and all-inclusive principles for EVs. The CCS and single stage AC, three-stage AC, and also DC fast charging, all in a solitary, simple to utilize framework. CCS charging likewise utilizes power line communication to start and in the manner to control charging. And these are similar, having the similar framework, those are utilized by grids for correspondence. Or we can say that utilizing this framework permits the vehicle being charged to work as brilliant apparatus or gadget that can upgrade to use on the best time of the day to do any time of the day. And one connector, DC connector, is the DC connector by Tesla. These Tesla superchargers are utilizing these superchargers are utilizing their own restrictive connectors. Uh, we can note an element of the Tesla connector that these are using a indistinguishable pin and connector from both AC and DC charging. We can't distinguish between them. Okay, so now we are moving on to the foundations for the chargers. So, because of different difficulties, for example, cost, impression, and force levels, on board quick charging of vehicle appears to be strong desire and determination to key of success. So, this fundamental to concentrate for advancement of off-board quick chargers, theoretically charging a valid chance. It consists two discussion stages from three-stage AC to DC, and a DC uses the gas refilling practices. These are the basic blocks of DC fast charger. First one is the inverter, and second stage is the rectifier and PPC stage. Then next one is the isolated DC to DC stage. This DC to DC stage provides galvanic isolation between the EV and the grid. It also incorporates the parallel connectivity at the charger output stage. The vast majority of chargers is accessible in 50 kilowatt units and is associated with meeting the power needs those are required. Uh, for example, we can take the HP Tesla Terra supercharger that was made by consolidating different units. These chargers approve various charging conventions and connectors depending on physical layout, followed by a specific cycle in the charging procedure, characterized by rule set charging. And it starts with signals shaking hand. At that point, protection testing finally exchanges characterized requirements between EV and the charger. Fast charging foundations, we can categorize it into the common AC bus configuration and common DC bus configuration, and a different type of foundation is SST based XFC foundation. First is a common AC bus configuration. Particular designs feasibly draw in for fast charging utilize a typical AC bus geography. The utilization related course of action no more just permits utilization of low power arranges in the front end, yet in addition go on less difficult from user's perspective. Here we have we can say the uh, here we have AC to DC converter, then DC to DC converter connected here, and there is a two-way communication of vehicle to grid. Then there is a PV also, and what PV is giving? PV is giving the energy. There is a DC to DC converter, then DC to AC converter, and it is giving the energy to the grid. Uh, so there is a AC line here. In addition, specialized development and accessibility of switchgear and protection gear along settled system balance. increasingly suitable electric vehicles, quick charger design. Uh, the expanded number of turning stages lessens the productivity and builds uh, their own apprentices. The complexity in the system and increase in the cost also further increase the turning stages due to addition of renewable and energy storage system. Here we can see that we have an renewable energy resource, that is PV, and an storage system. So it will going lead to increase the system cost. Considering system operating check, controlling of AC system have more complexity in comparison to DC framework. So we are moving to the DC bus configuration. Uh, so we can say that again that a single AC to DC conversion will an important impressive rating utilized in framing a typical DC bus. Each charger is interfaced to DC battery converter. This system is progressively adaptable from the conveyed sources perspective, as this relation can be conveniently combined with the DC bus at the distributed point using a local turning stage. So these DC bus configurations or DC bus foundations are more important foundations to concern. An extra edge of such a device is expelling the synchronization problem if you are using the DC bus configuration, and there is no reactive power as well. So these are the remarkable highlights, and we can say this is an intelligent framework that can progress in the direction of security of a regular utility grid. This device tell is not exactly the AC bus association due to the expulsion of several nearby turning stages, and proves to be reasonable afterwards. These frameworks' overall competence can also be improved due to the lesser power turning levels because we are using the DC. And with that as it may, the utilization of high energy rectifier part requires tough framework and power on exchange reoccurrence frequency because of utilization of high energy devices. Again, it requires high protection apparatus as comparison to AC bus configuration. Okay, what are means we are discussing the cons. That after that it requires high protection apparatus as comparison to AC bus configuration because of zero crossing points. Okay. So for this, partial power converters are used, which are helpful in uh, to limit the power delivered to the vehicle with lowering the converter's rating. As the cost and improving proficiency may increase. Specific pivotal experiment are going to done as far as innovative active front of center and converter topology. So because of these converters, these protective device, the lowering stages increases the cost of the DC foundations. That's why we say that these foundations are costly. Next foundation is XXC foundation, state-based. What it is? Each DC quick chargers are preparing to combine up to 480 volt three-phase configurations that is not accessible in public areas. 480 volt is very high. So consequently, what we can do, and low frequency distribution transfer is needed to step down the voltage that is necessary for a strong DC charger. The dominant charger requires greater conductive size and defensive equipment at such a low level grid. So there is a method for direct connection access to the MV to MV line, and LF will be removed. Here we can see that LF part have been removed, and in this technology having the ability to fill in the purpose of LF transformer and the AC to DC conversion uh, uh, becomes strong. Likewise, supplementary purpose are power flow in both the direction, fault current control, and fault removal. This technology maintains the common DC storage with reduced turning stages, order, and flexibility to integrate the storage with reduced turning stages. In this XFC Foundation state-based, uh, at the same, we can see in this configuration, a small system over 98% energy demand can be supplied with 10-second to 12-second charging. In the system, at the same time, to accomplish various goals, for example, we can say request charge decrease, charging cost minimization, charging accessibility improvement, and beneficial amplification. Okay. Now, as we have seen in the foundations that the important role are played by the power electronics. So we need to discuss the power electronics in this fast charging. First one, input filter is used for the reduction of input harmonics, which also contributes to power factor development, and AC to DC rectifier here, and a DC to DC converter that transfers power to the battery as power to the battery for DC fast charging of plug-in hybrid vehicles. And for AC charging, the AC to DC rectifier and DC to DC converter are part of onboard charger, which also specify an advantage of DC charging. Also, the size of on-board charging device is constrained by the space inside the vehicle, as the onboard converter is small. The amount of power that it is able to deliver to the battery is typically low, around 3 to 6 kilowatt, and the DC charger is external to the vehicle and therefore not constrained in the size and cost because of its external placement. In addition, DC fast chargers can interface with three-phase power and enable adoption of the charge level to suit the battery state solution. Here we can see the input filter of board level 3 charger, and the cells within the PCC based battery pack are fully in contact and enclosed, which maximize the heat transfer out of the cell, which is impossible with indirect liquid cooling. The EV charging station appears as DC load to the electric distribution system, and the nature of AC to DC turning process by rectification can present unwanted current harmonics on the grid distribution system. And it will lead to negative effect on grid power utility. The input filter's purpose is to filter unwanted harmonics. This input filter here in this figure, what it's work, it works to filter the input harmonics, unwanted harmonics, and in doing so, maintain a power factor for the distribution system that is near unity. Uh, so the total harmonic distortion as a function of harmonic input current over fundamental component. The DC to DC converter stage is where the voltage of DC bus is changed into the necessary charging voltage and current parameters as defined by EV battery. This DC to DC converter will also apply a dynamic control method for fast charging appliances to minimize the effect of temperature increase and battery polarization. This is also where the pulse generator would be executed for pulse and negative pulse fast charging. This converter needs to be robust and flexible in design. so that to improve driver safety. So isolation is also an now ideal EVs fast charging station placement is another issue. Electricity can be a mastery transformer from both petroleum derivatives and sustainable power sources. Therefore, EV about can accomplish zero outflow and increase the impurity in the environment. And there are some methods of placement these charging stations. Uh, one is the workplaces. Newcomer or startup can introduce, lease, and keep up charging frameworks in parking garages of organizations. Those can be used, that can be utilized as the placement for the charging stations, and that need to be make it simpler for representatives who embrace ecologically well-disposed EVs. Next are the fleets. Few business and ministry fleet directors prefer contract framework agency to plan and introduce charging bays to charge respective fleet. Sales sites. There is an open door for investors, entrepreneurs to work charging stations at deliberate peak areas in business territories. Administrators will utilize PIN code, RFID access, or outsider installment stages as cell phone apps based application. So next are the sales sites. There is an open door for investors, entrepreneurs to work charging stations, and administrators will utilize PIN code, RFID, uh, and also they can use their cell phone apps based application to charge EV drivers for use. And these stations are idly sustained or financed by site providers similar to cafe or shopping centers, searching for approaches to pull in additional consumers in the current trade. Next, placement can be done in the parking garages. Parking is lot administrators can make their another income. Opening by authorized automobilists charge their automobile when they park it. Then retail, a storekeeper or a shopping center hoping to draw in EVs and can produce a charging station for client use. This administration can create devotion with the clients who consider charging as an uh, uncured. Okay. So you can see the most microgrid and EVs. Uh, the most of the word of EV revolution simply means using a plug rather than a fuel pump to keep a car running. But in truth, it will require a significant overhaul of energy system and infrastructure. One that's likely to get businesses and even households considering microgrids. If we see here microgrids and EV in the EVs, microgrid is connected to the utility grid. There are storages, residential, commercial, uh, renewables connected to the microgrid at EVs, generators, and we can say there is a two-way communication, a two-way transfer between the utility grid and the microgrid. Same is true for storage. Same is true for but renewable in renewable cases, renewable the sources are giving the energy to the microgrid. Then from microgrid, EV can be charged. Uh, but on the other perspective, we can say that the electric vehicle can store their charge and can give to the consumers as well. Uh, if we talk about this generator, microgrid and generator having the two-way communication. Also for commercial purpose, we can use microgrid and in residential buildings also. So preparing for EVs is more than a matter of installing charging networks. From the power plant to the service station, electricity demand will change, requiring a rethinking of distribution systems, particularly as society embraces more power-hungry fast chargers. Or we can say getting these systems in place can significantly delay EV use and add to the cost. So let's start with the home. Think you can just buy an EV and charger, and you are set to drive your new car. Okay, uh, is it possible? Uh, yeah, we can say yes or not necessarily. Your home may lack the adequate electric capacity for the charger. Transformers and breakers already function close to the home's limit. And where you want to add in an electric vehicle charging infrastructure to that site, you may actually exceed the capacity of the service entrance. And that means you have to do something to bring more power to the infrastructure to be able to support charging. There are some things like time and money. If we talk in terms of time and money, then there is an issue of the amount of power the charger required. More and more EV owners want fast chargers, but they use a lot more electricity than their slower counterparts as well. How much? About double the amount of energy of a home air conditioning system or oven. So this is the difference. As a result, the homeowner may need to increase the ampere load center and the local utility may need to upgrade the pole mounted transformer. It can be shock to homeowners to learn that a utility schedules transformer changes month out, meaning they won't be driving their new electric vehicle anytime soon. Suddenly, on-site energy, a home microgrid, nanogrid, or solar plus storage starts to sound more appealing since it avoids the transformer change. But time is only part of the equation. Money plays into it too. The utility will charge for the upgrade. Of course, a microgrid costs money too, and homeowners will need to analyze payback of each option given their situation. In doing so, it is important to factor in some advantages a microgrid offers. Once you install the on-site energy, you own it and can use it to avoid buying energy from the grid. Now, second thing, issue for commercial EV fleets. All of these issues magnify when businesses and delivery companies electrify their fleets. This is because the scope of the worker is larger. The utility has to come in and not just put in a different transformer on a pole, but actually pull out a substation transformer. And these issues can differ the EV sales. Locations, if we talk about the location, also play a big role in determining the need to upgrade electrical systems. Charging stations situated on remote highways may be near the end of a utility line where power was never needed before. Bringing service to the charging station requires either installation of a microgrid or new utility wires, poles, infrastructure. I want to discuss a thing. If you are going on a highway and you want to charge your electric vehicle, so there should be a fast charger over there. But is it possible that there is the location where grid is available? Not necessarily. So why would a utility build a microgrid rather than a new substation? Utilities must seek regulatory approval to build new infrastructure, but state commissions are increasingly um, saying that about utilities adding centralized power to the system. They want to see more and more distributed energy, put in place more green energy. Okay. So electric vehicles are future of automobiles, and if you are saying about the urban transformation by using the electric vehicles, if we are transferring the urban infrastructure, then there is a transformer that is supplying the load to different communities. Okay, and during the off charging period, offload period, the electric vehicles can be charged on that transformer, and during at the time of high peak load, these electric vehicles can give the energy back to the houses so that there will be no overloading on the transformers. So this is how this can be used in the uh, urban areas, or as well in urban areas the pollution is reducing by using the electrical vehicles. This is the main important thing. And if we talk in terms of the transforming the rural infrastructure, then we can say that a lot of rural areas in India have infrastructure in place of energy generation from solar panels, and they need a charging. For rural consumers, electric vehicles can be the game changer. How? During daytime, these consumers can use solar pumps for irrigation as well as charging their electrical vehicles. And in the current scenario, we can say rural consumers depend upon diesel generators to operate machines for irrigations. And policymakers need to provide an initiative based energy tariff structure for consumers, or these farmers, and increase the interest to participate in grid operations and supply extra amount of energy to other consumers. It can reduce the burden on the grid, generate extra amount of energy for utilities, generate green energy, reduce the environmental impact due to burning of fossil fuels, make rural consumers self-sustainable, increase the development of EVs, and supply all-day electricity to the rural consumers, which is a very difficult task in Indian villages. So we can see a case study of our campus, that is Central University of Haryana. We are going to install a charging station here. So the campus is having a big problem of transport. Uh, Students are going, because this is a new campus, and students are going from hostel to their classes, their academic blocks, and the thing that is keeping in mind while installing the EV charging station in the campus is that at what time there is a need of charging those vehicles, or and what time the the electric vehicles are going to running in the campus. So we can say that in the morning time and the evening time are the rush of the students or faculties which are moving from the hostel or houses to the academic block, or academic block to the hostels. So at those times electrical vehicles can move, and the in between time those electric vehicles can be charged, and the campus may become uh, 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 there may be a transportation created without the pollution. Uh, Another thing that we can keep in mind, that when the students or the faculties are going outside the campus, so there is need to if there is an electric vehicle, they can go outside. And the things we can keep in mind, that on which days there is an outgoing, there is a huge outgoing from the campus. It is in Friday evening and Saturday and Sunday. So these are the things that those we can keep in mind. And if we thought about the installation of charging station in campus, then we can use the parking area. This is the best area that we can choose in the campus, so that do not alter any infrastructure of the campus. So a parking area can be used for the charging purpose, and here we can install the solar panels PV charging we can do, and if sun is available, and here in the this area Mahendragarh, there is most of the times the sun is available. So this is a good solution that we can install. We can provide the shade to the parking to the vehicles, as well as we can utilize this area as charging point. So this is all about from my side. Thank you.
Now I would like to take the question from the participant, please.
Yes, sir. So some of the questions are in the chat box, so I'll just read out them. The first question is asked by Mr. T. Bograj. He's asking which type of EV is suitable for customers and also is environment friendly.
What type of EV?
Which type of EV is suitable for customers and also is environment friendly?
That is a plug-in hybrid vehicles.
Okay, ma'am.
Plug-in hybrid vehicles are suitable for the customers so that they can charge it. And these devices, these vehicles are actually all vehicles. Those are going on the road are the plug-in hybrid vehicles, because if we use the battery in-store battery vehicles, then they can increase the size of the vehicle and make it bulky. So plug-in hybrid vehicles are good for the consumers.
Okay, ma'am. He also asked, what about the scope for wireless charging?
Yes, wireless charging is the future perspective, and it takes time to make wireless charging feasible, and it is a good area of research.
The next question is asked by Dr. Amit Seth. What is the scope? What are the limitations of lithium sulfur, solid state, and lithium metal oxide battery for EV applications?
Yes, actually, we are concentrating on the lithium ion only. Why? Because they having less emission, and their cost is also they are also cost effective. But if we are going on to the sulfur side, then they are they may be we have to concern more about the safety of the consumer, and the temperature parameter is important, that heat may be high in case of those type of batteries. That's why we are concentrating on lead or lithium ion batteries only.
Then Mr. Nitin Chandra wants to know about V2G implementation in India and its challenges.
Yes, vehicle to grid. Uh, uh, as I'm saying that vehicle to grid can be a good scope in India for in the villages, in the campuses, and also for commercial purpose. We can use the vehicle to grid so that the overburden can be reduced on the transformers, and we can say the proper utilization of the charging and discharging of the electric vehicles. So there is lots of scope still there in the India, and there is need to find the specific place for that purpose. means in which campus it should be installed, and in which type of area, like in villages, is the farmers are able to adopt this technology or not. So the awareness is required, and I think more contributors are required to work on this vehicle to grid. But first of all, there need to be work on the battery size and the volume.
Okay, ma'am. Then Dr. Amit Ved wants to know about reactive power compensation for bidirectional charger.
Yes, as I said that reactive power component can be reduced if we are using the DC fast charger. And mostly we are using the DC fast charger, and we are working on only if we are talking about the fast charging foundations, we are working on the DC charging. As I said in my slide on the foundations, then DC charging will reduce the reactive power component and the additional
So thank you very
performance as well.
much, Dr. Kalpana, for giving a wonderful presentation on the smart charging, discharging, and their applications. And you have also discussed about that electrical vehicle is an opportunity for the future grid. Even it's not an opportunity for the urban area, it is also an opportunity for the remote areas. I'm very happy. I've seen one slide in which you have shown an electrical vehicle that is integrated with the solar system and using for the water pumping. It's really a good application which can play an important role for the rural development. So thank you very much for the nice presentation. And this is the e-memento from on the behalf of the Albag Educational Institute. Please accept it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this is the e-certificate from our side. Thank you.